registration is sort of a more relevant issue recently, given the controversy about voter suppression at polls during the midterm election. As someone who turned 18 within the past month, I have right now the stress of college finals, and I really don't want to think about having to register myself to vote. Yes, it's not exactly relevant until the next election in about 2 years, but it's still something that I don't necessarily want to have to do. It's a lot of work. You have to go fill out paperwork, and it could be easier. So automatic voter registration is when those eligible to vote are automatically registered by their government without any action on their part. It is often tied to other actions, like interacting with your DMV will have you automatically entered into the registration, given that you're eligible to vote. And then there was some concern about being illegal aliens being registered to vote because they can't get driver's license, or people who couldn't vote being registered and being fined for that because registering to vote when you're not allowed to is illegal. But outlined in most of the automatic voter registration laws are consideracies for these things, so it doesn't become a major issue. How many of you have heard of Assembly Bill 1461? This is California's automatic voter registration law, and it's going to be enacted this year. It was voted into existence in 2015, but as of yet, has not been enacted. So if you haven't interacted with the DMV within this past year, there is a good chance that you're already registered to vote and didn't even have to do anything. There was a former motor voter law established on the federal level, but that one was an opt-in policy, whereas the California new motor voter law is an opt-out policy. The difference between an opt-in and an opt-out policy is with an opt-in, you must manually check a box or say to someone, yes, I want you to do this for me. Whereas with this, it's opt-out. So the only reason you wouldn't be registered on interacting with the DMV is that you say you don't want to specifically. And anytime you submit an address change, request an ID, or request a driver's license, this is what happens. And that is according to the actual law. So these are all the states with automatic voter registration as of right now, according to the Brennan Center for Justice, as of 2018. And California is now one of a small but growing minority of states that has automatic voter registration of some sort. And these are often improvements on the motor voter law that already exists, and that has been proven to work and be effective in the study by NAC in 1995, Does Motor Voter Work? These 15 states and DC have all implemented this policy. I say that everyone in the United States should be automatically registered to vote if they're eligible, to expand their ability to vote and to participate in democracy. According to the NPR article on the Silence of Democracy, published 2018 of this year, September of this year, by Asma Khalid, Dawn Ganya, and Leah Fischel, one major reason people don't vote is that they have issues with registration or are unable to register for some other reason. This is complicated by the fact that most states have different requirements for registration and different policies regarding it. For example, in Florida, if you've ever been arrested for a felony, you cannot vote whatsoever. Whereas in other states, once you have completed your parole, this is a possibility. These voting requirements are part of a sad history of voter suppression in the United States. In a brief history from Daniel Takagi in 2008 about voter registration and election reform. He detailed how voter registration lists were first introduced in the early 1800s, and they were often used for less than noble purposes. The officials trying to be elected would use them to prevent opposing parties from being able to vote by oftentimes with a poll tax, creating strange rules for their registration to prevent minorities from voting, such as only being able to register during work hours of the week when the working class was not able to register. Literacy tests, which were famously created to be impossible to pass. And it has just been a very messy history. Making voter registration accessible to everyone would start to amend the wrongs that we've done in the past with this issue. And it should occur. But even after registration is taken out of the picture, voter turnout is still low, according to Pew Research by Drew DeSilver. Only 55.7% of people eligible to vote in the U.S. are registered. And of those registered, 86.8% of them actually voted. That means only 48.34% of all Americans who are eligible to vote did vote. Now, this is not an impressive number, and it's part of the reason why the U.S. ranks 26 out of 35 for developed countries' voter turnout. Leading this list is Belgium. They have an 87% registration rate and 87% voter turnout rate, and 89% of their population is registered. This is due to the fact that they have some mandatory voting laws that are very loosely enforced and automatic voter registration. So now, why we want to raise voter turnout. There's a positive correlation that has been proved between registration and turnout. The more people that register, the more people that vote. You can see on this graph that there's the pattern of the voting age population and the registered voters follows each other and the people that actually vote. And this is according to Silijanov in 2016 in a book about voter turnouts around the world. And then the reason that we want higher voter turnout is it indicates the health of a democracy. Higher registration in turn produces higher turnout, which indicates that the democracy is healthy and it is a sustainable practice. So given that this is a viable solution, how should this be implemented? So I see about two options. Option one is a standard set of registration requirements created and implemented on a federal level. Well, option two is each state establishes its own rules, much like now, but each one is required to have some form of automatic voter registration in order to promote democracy. This is what you can do. Check your voter registration status. On the California voter registration website, if you're from California, you can go and fill out some basic information and it will tell you if you're registered or if you need to register. And then next time you go to the DMV to get your license renewed or something of that sort of thing, you can just opt in. You'll be registered to vote automatically and you can work to improve the democracy. And then you can advocate for change for other people in different states where they don't have this. You can say, hey, this is working. I like this. Other places should implement this too. So vote, petition, or contact the government